Okay, so now in this video we will be completing the worksheet based on chapter number 6, risk to data and personal information. So by now you should have finished all the questions based on textbook content. That entire document should have been finished by you and you should have uploaded by now to your classroom. Okay, so once you're done with that, we'll be starting a worksheet. Okay, so in order to access your worksheet, you'll have to go into your classroom and click on worksheet under chapter number 6. Come and click on worksheet, and then you have a worksheet over here, so you just click on it and you say open a new window, and you can click on this to say download. You can click on these 3 arrows and say click on download from here. Okay, so the object downloads. Save it or save it. So it has got saved, and I'm going to be opening this document. Okay, so starting off, so we'll be answering questions on this document itself, just like how you did in questions based on textbook content. Okay, so now if you look over here, these are questions based on chapter number 6. And these are questions from the past papers of 2011 all the way up to 2016. Okay, so let's start off with the first question. It goes on saying that Mr. Sanjay wants to keep his wireless connection secure. Name and briefly describe one method he can use to stop other people accessing his wireless connection. Okay, so they have to tell us to name it and also briefly describe how it works. So we all know that he can put a password for his wireless connection, and we do know that when it comes to password, he can say password, the answer would be correct, but a better word would be WPA-2. Okay, we know in today's world, in today's context actually, the Wi-Fi password is known as WPA, and the latest version in today's world is 2. Okay, so it goes as Wi-Fi protected access 2. Okay, and then we can go on to say this method encrypts the data emitted by the wireless connection, and the key has to be entered in order for the data to become decrypted. Okay, so this is the method, and we will basically describe how it works over here. Okay, moving on to the 14th question, it goes on to say an organization uses a virtual private network to link 2 officers. The security of data sent through the VPN is maintained by, it will be maintained by encryption. Okay, so we do know a virtual private network encrypts the data that is transmitted inside it. So the answer is B. Okay. Moving on to the next question, it says that it is important that Josie takes steps to protect her wireless connection. When connecting her laptop to the network for the first time, Josie is prompted to enter a key. Explain the purpose of a key. Okay, so it says when she connects to her Wi-Fi connection, she is asked to enter a password. Okay, another word for password is key. So they're asking us what is the purpose of the key. So we can say the purpose of the key is in order to decrypt the data emitted from the wireless connection. Okay, so this is the purpose of the key. It simply decrypts the data that is emitted from the wireless connection. Okay, then it goes on to say one other type of key which may be used is WEP. Okay, so we do know WEP is wireless encryption protocol. Okay, so wireless encryption protocol, yes, and we do know that the later version, okay, this is not such a secure method. The most secure method is WPA-2. Okay, this stands for actually Wi-Fi protected access. This is much more secure than WEP. Okay. Moving on to the next one, when a user connects a laptop to the center's network for the first time, they are prompted to enter a network key. Explain how the network key is used to secure data transmitted wirelessly. So almost the same question as this. This is obviously from a different past paper. So explain how the network key is used to secure data transmitted wirelessly. We can say the network key is used to encrypt data in order for the data to become decrypted, the decryption key has to be entered, or else the decryption key would simply be the Wi-Fi password. Okay, in order for the user to understand the data, he has to, now initially the data is encrypted, it becomes unreadable. So in order for the user to understand it, he has to enter the decryption key, and so that he would be able to understand the data that is emitted from the wireless connection. Moving on to the next one, customers need to ensure the security of their data when buying online. Okay, give 3 checks that customers should make before entering their payment details online. Okay, so when you go online to make a payment, there are many things you can check to make sure that you're shopping on a secure website, you're shopping on a trusted website. So for example, you can say the website URL should be following the HTTPS protocol. Okay, so if it's following HTTPS, it depicts that the website is encrypting the data. So even if a hacker gets hold of the data, he simply does not understand any of it. Okay, so the protocol, sorry, the URL, the address of the website should also show HTTPS, hypertext transfer protocol secure. The second thing that the user can check is the user should make sure that the URL of the website is matching his expectation. Okay, because if the URL is not matching expectation, then you could be a victim of farming. Okay, so always make sure that the URL you're visiting is matching your expectation. The third thing you can talk about is the padlock symbol should be visible. Okay, the padlock symbol shows that this website is a trusted website, it has a valid digital certificate. Okay, so this padlock symbol also should be there. Something else that you can also talk about is, you can also go on to say that the antivirus software should not give you any warnings about this particular site. Okay, it is also a valid answer. So they have asked for 3. I have put down 3 checks customers should check before entering their payment details online. Moving on to the next one, teaching staff, administrative staff and students are given file access rights. Explain what is meant by file access rights. So I have told you, you can use file access rights in order to protect the files that are on a network. Okay, so what is meant by file access rights? We can go on to say file access rights defines the level of access that users in a system have towards files in a network. The 3 levels of access are read, read only, read and write, and denied. Okay, so the 3 levels of file access. So basically, what does file access rights do? So for example, you have an information system inside the school, but not everybody should have access to all the files of the school, isn't it? So for example, the accountant should only be able to read and write accounting files. Teachers should be able to read and write students' marks, but students, for example, should only be able to read their marks. Okay, so using file access rights, you can define the level of access that users have towards files in a system. And these are the 3 levels that you can impose upon the users in the system: read only, read and write, or you can completely deny them access to the files. Okay, so then give 2 examples of the impact of file access rights on the different groups of users. So we have different groups of users. They are asking us to give 2 examples of what will happen. So one, we can say, for example, teaching staff will be able to read and write students' marks, while students will only be able to read their marks. Then, for example, teachers might be denied access to administrative files. Okay, so they are asking examples of what will happen once you put this file access rights into play. Okay, so teaching staff example, they can read and write, but they will not. But students example will only be able to read their marks. They will not be able to change their marks. Okay, then for example, teachers will be denied access to administrative files, like for example attendance files, then for example salary files, student fee files. Teachers will not be allowed to access those files. Moving on to the next one, it says students at Cartwright College are aged between 11 and 16. The college wants students to stay safe when using the internet. Discuss the advice the college could give students. Okay, so if you notice over here, it's a 6-mark question, which means basically an essay type question. So I have told you for these kind of questions, always try and get a mind map constructed and then try putting down your answer. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you all the mind map. You please try and construct your answer in essay form. So if you have teenagers using the internet, what kind of advice you could give them? So you can start off with cyberbullying. Be aware of cyberbullying. Okay, you can be bullied online and all that. Okay, be aware of addiction. Okay, getting addicted. Okay, this getting addicted. Something else they should consider is becoming isolated from, they forget about the people around them and instead focus on what's happening in the phone. Getting isolated from the real world. Okay, and something else they should be aware of is viruses. Okay, then they can think about data theft. Okay, the data being stolen. Okay, so for each of these you try and give solutions. Okay, so for viruses you can say use strong antivirus software. For data theft you can tell them to encrypt their data. Okay, for cyberbullying you can tell them do not publish too much of personal information online. Getting addicted, tell them have a fixed timetable on how much of time they're going to spend online. Okay, so for each of these try and give examples. So what you do is you try and put down a mind map of various points you can think of, advice you would give to college students on how to stay safe when using the internet. Think of various points and then also try and put a solution on how they can stay safe. Okay, so we have example said the problem is viruses. So our solution here is using a strong antivirus software, regularly updating an antivirus software. Okay, that's our solution. So they're giving you 6 marks, so it would be better if you can take about 3 to 4 points, give a solution for them, try and give an example also for each of them. You should be able to achieve these 6 marks. So I've just given you a few points. You please try and construct your entire essay. Okay. Moving on to the last question, it goes on to say, computers connected to the internet are at risk from malicious actions. Identify 2 malicious actions that could result in data corruption. Okay, data corruption meaning data becomes unreadable. Something has completely ruined it. Okay, for each malicious action, state how the risk can be reduced. Okay, so when you connect to the internet, what is the first malicious action that can happen to your data is you can say viruses. Viruses can come and corrupt your data. Okay, so how do you reduce the risk? Installing a strong antivirus software. Okay, installing a strong antivirus software. Malicious action number 2, data theft. Somebody can steal your data online, or they can hack into your computer and steal your data. So your malicious, how to reduce the risk? You can say encrypt the data. So if you encrypt the data, even if they steal your data, they simply would not understand anything. Okay, you can even talk about enabling file access rights. Okay, when you put file access rights, they cannot view your files unless they have access towards it. Okay, so there are various answers you can put over here. Once you are complete with this paper, please make sure you click on save and you upload your work. Okay, please make sure you upload your work back into this classroom under worksheet chapter 6. Okay.